Hello my dear friends and welcome to my channel. Don't forget to make yourself a cup of tea with some snacks if you want, because today we have very interesting stories, and one of them is a story about a woman who interrupted OP's lunch, demanding he block the phone of her daughter's ex. Please subscribe if you haven't and I hope you'll enjoy it. Bit of backstory. I, 21M, work for a private company that gets hired out to work load-ins and load-outs for gigs that happen around my city, and sometimes further afield. Our main client is the arena in my city. We don't work directly for any of the venues we get hired by, and we also have strict rules when it comes to the performer, whose gig we're working at. If we should meet the performer or a member of one of the bands, other than a polite greeting, we're not allowed to initiate a conversation unless they do it first, a speak when you're spoken to kind of rule. This will become relevant later. There's also 3 groups of people who work at these gigs. The stage crew, that's us, who will be wearing a hard hat, a high-vis vest, a random shirt, cargo trousers or cargo shorts, any colors, and steel-toe cap boots. The security guys, who wear a yellow jacket with the company's name on it, with black trousers and boots, and the arena staff, who wear a black polo shirt or hoodie with the name of the arena sewn on. And black trousers and boots. This is also relevant later. A bit of backstory on the EM. She's a friend of my mother's, maybe in her late 40s or early 50s. She has a son, K, who's maybe 15 or 16. I'd never really spoken to her before this point, other than a polite greeting if we bump into her at a supermarket. Her and my mother will talk for ages if this happens, and she seemed nice enough. My mother is also the humblebrag type of person. She'll brag about my sister's accomplishments and my accomplishments to anyone who will give her the time of day. For example, the other day I found out I'd passed my college course and will be heading down to a different city for university later this year. As soon as I told my mother, she was straight on the phone to various friends to tell them. She's far from entitled though. So, before the lockdown restrictions put paid to any work we were due to get, a band who is fairly popular, especially with younger people, played a gig at the arena, and I got the call to work at that gig. The day before the gig, my mother got a phone call from EM. I was in my room doing whatever, and my mother knocks on the door and says, "OP, it's EM. She wants to talk to you." She hands me the phone and goes back downstairs. "Hello? Hi OP. Your mother tells me you work at the arena now." "Sort of. I work for a private company that the arena hires to set the shows up and tear them down." "Cool. Will you be working at the concert tomorrow?" "Yep." "Cool. K will be attending the show with his dad. Would you be able to get him backstage afterwards? He'd love to meet the band." Quick side note here, the arena doesn't do backstage passes, and they don't let the public backstage after gigs. Some bands will offer VIP upgrades to their tickets where you get to meet the band before the gig, and sometimes some other cool stuff as well. Not every band does these though. They're also usually quite expensive. I got a VIP upgrade for a gig from my mother for my birthday last year, which included an exclusive soundcheck performance, Q&A with the band, photo opportunity and a couple of other things. That was £75 on top of the £35 ticket. We don't work directly with the band, usually we don't even get to meet the artists we work with. Have you checked to see if the band are doing VIP upgrades? I don't think they are. Plus, it'd probably be really expensive, the ticket price was bad enough. Fair point. Sorry, I don't think I can help you. I don't think the arena do backstage passes and don't normally let members of the public backstage. EM, clearly annoyed by this. HM, okay. Can you ask around tomorrow at the load-in shift? Nope. The arena probably won't budge unless K is terminally ill or in a wheelchair. How dare you speak to me like that? Hand me back to your mother. I go back downstairs and hand the phone to my mother. EM tells her that I was rude to her and refused to get her son backstage. My mother told me she'd deal with me and hung up the phone. She then told me that EM threatened to come down to the arena and give me a piece of her mind. She then told me not to worry, she knew I wouldn't be as rude to her as she was making out, and that she probably wouldn't follow through on her threat. The next evening, I arrived at the arena with a couple of my colleagues at 9:30 p.m., about half an hour before our call time. Our call time is usually half an hour before the show finishes, to give our boss time to make sure everyone who said they'd turn up has turned up, and so we can find out our role for the loadout, lighting, stage, trucks etc., get our color-coded high-vis, which we occasionally get to keep and wear at future gigs, and our sub-crew manager for whichever role we've been given, can explain the game plan for the shift. The security guys also don't let us in until our boss arrives with a list of who's working that shift. So, once we were suited and booted, we headed to the gate to wait for the boss, and I lit up a cigarette and scrolled through my phone. About 10 minutes before call, out of the corner of my eye, I saw EM storming up the path at the side of the arena, towards me. I put my phone in my pocket and prepared for the verbal crap storm I was about to endure. OP. Your mother said you'd get K backstage after the gig. Hand me your pass. She held out her hand, expectantly. I don't have my pass yet, the boss hasn't turned up. Anyway, my pass is a work pass. So unless Kay wants to work tearing the show down, it was a hell of a show to set up, so it'd be even more fun tearing it down. Sarcasm, my pass is worthless to you. I'm pretty sure he's too young to work it anyway. You have to be 18 to work for our company. Surely you had a pass for the morning. Give me that. That was for the morning. It's expired now. EM turns red. At this point, one of my colleagues, C, noticed the commotion and heads over. Hey OP. What's going on? Before I could get a word in, EM yells in his face. This boy said he could get my son backstage after the gig, and now he's refusing to let him in. Give me his pass. Whoa, whoa, whoa. I'm not the boss. I don't have the passes. This pass is a work pass, we're not even allowed to speak to the band, let alone ask them for favors. M started cussing a blue streak at my colleague, and this got the attention of a security guard, S. What's going on here? He said my son could get backstage to meet the band, and now he's saying no. The security guard glances at EM, then me, then EM and then me again, with a suspicious look on his face. Is this true, sir? You know the rules in regards to this sort of thing. No. I've repeatedly told her I can't get her backstage, even if I wanted to. Ma'am, I'm going to have to ask you to leave. Quite frankly, he's not my staff and I don't give a crap if he gets crap from people. But his boss definitely won't appreciate anyone harassing his employees like this. I'm not leaving until my son can go backstage. The security guard lifts up a walkie-talkie on his jacket, as if he was about to summon more security to physically remove EM. Before he could press a button, EM gave off a massive HM and stormed off. As she was leaving, everyone else around started bawling with laughter, and she turned around and shot us a glare that could kill Thanos if looks could kill, and we all unanimously gave her the middle finger. That gave those of us that were there a good laugh and a bit of pre-work entertainment, and really boosted our morale for the entire shift. So, thank you EM. Your entitled idiocy meant we went to work happy. Your mother is probably so proud of you that she wants everyone to know your accomplishments. I will never understand why people like that feel they can get stuff for free by yelling and complaining. Past. Me, obviously. EM, entitled mom, of course. ED, embarrassed daughter. CD, cool dad, manager of the restaurant, and tech dude, TD. Former coworker turned good friend semi-retired, think the dude from Big Lebowski, had a master's in computers and electronics, a bit of mad scientist, shake thoroughly, and you pretty much have tech dude. Background: I am a field guy for a large communications company. One of the services we provide is wireless calling. I am not customer facing, just one of the many individuals who make it all work. I had happened to take a day off, though I did have my work phone on me just in case. I also foolishly grabbed a zip-up hoodie with the company logo on the sleeve on my way out the door. Tech dude calls me up asking me to come grab lunch with him sometime when I am in the area. As I was actually around the corner from his summer abode, I mentioned the restaurant down the way on the water because they have outdoor seating. I get to the restaurant, TD is already seated sipping on a Shirley Temple, clear lemon and lime pop, grenadine, and a maraschino cherry to top it off, with another one set aside for me. Yes, we both enjoy these drinks, maybe it's just the kids in us, but we're both driving, so no alcohol. I don't pay much attention to the other patrons, just head straight to the table signaling the waitress I know where I'm going. After our greeting a big "Hey Kurt dude, how's you been?" and ordering of the daily special, an appetizer is delivered. TD gets down to his latest personal project, asking my thoughts along the way. My work phone interrupts. I answer with the company name just in case it's a test call, before directing the caller to a coworker who would be able to help them that day. After hanging up the phone, I hear a Fran Drescher-esque voice somewhere behind me, "Sir, excuse me sir, 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 sir," and suddenly feel the presence of the person behind my right shoulder. I turn and have to look upwards to see a large Karen of about mid-40s, complete with a haircut that could only be described as, make my hair look like the body of a chicken complete with backside, no feet, neck, or head standing about 8 inches off the back of my chair. I think to myself, holy heck woman, have you ever heard of COVID? Even though I am fully vaccinated, I still don't want her looming over me in my personal space. Yes. Did you say you worked for Thiefphones? Pointing at the sleeve of my hoodie. Yes I do, today is my day off, but I might be able to. You need to help me right now, my lunch is being utterly ruined by my daughter's ex-boyfriend, and dramatically points to daughter who is trying to hide her face with a menu. There is no one else at the table. Mom please. No, I'm going to get this stopped once and for all, it's harassment. Mom please let those two eat, I can handle it. No, these two work for Thiefphones, and I am going to make them stop this immediately. Hey, I don't work for Thiefphones, are you lady? Of course they wouldn't hire anyone like you. UTT shoots me an effer look. I'm not able to help you, I am not in customer. I demand you block him from harassing us now. Ma'am, I'm sorry you are experiencing this, but you need to call. No, I won't call anyone. You can do it, I need you to stop him now. Even if I was working, I would not be able to stop him from calling her, I simply. Don't tell me you can't, and he's non-stop texting, not calling. Me seeing that my current approach isn't working, I'm sorry that he is doing that. You should advise your daughter to block his number from her phone, it would be the easiest way to stop his communications. He keeps changing numbers. You need to poking me in the chest as she said. You, both TT and I stand up. I see the manager rushing towards us out of the corner of my eye. EM immediately switches gears. Oh I see, take his side. I'm a loyal long-term customer, I'm going to call your boss and get you fired, as if spelling out fired in a sing-song tone would change my answers. Manager. Ma'am, you need to return to your table and leave the other customers alone. Oh, so he won't do his job, and I'm the one who needs to leave him alone. Don't you know who I am? I'll have your job. TD, manager, and I all share. I have no flying clue who she is. Look. Ed has the menu over her head face down on the table. I truly feel sorry for ED. Manager. Ma'am, you need to sit down and leave my customers alone, or you can leave. I will not sit down, I can't enjoy my lunch because he points at me, won't do his job. Again doing that sing-song spelling bit. Manager looks at me with an is there anything you want to say? Look. I'm sorry ma'am, I simply do not have access to accounts, and EM tries to interrupt, and even if I did, there are very specific rules for making account changes. EM tries to interrupt again, but I keep going, I can't just block someone because you interrupt my lunch. EM tries again. Furthermore, if he keeps changing numbers to avoid blocks, that is she tries to interrupt again, that is harassment, a legal matter. I would suggest getting a no-contact order and recording anytime he does attempt to contact her. ED quickly walks off towards the front, trying to cover her face with her hands. What I can see of her face is ketchup bottle red. EM starts again, and this time I let her go. Bulls, that's just bulls, 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 bulls. You just don't want to do your job. I know you can block him. Manager signals something to one of her waitstaff. Ma'am, this is your last warning. These two have been more than kind. Since you have interrupted their lunch, I will call the police if you do not sit down or leave immediately. Fine, but I'm calling all of your bosses. You're all going to be fired. Then sing song again. You don't know who you're messing with. I mean really, my kids stopped that when they were 5. We all sit down. ED is still missing, and I've repositioned in order to be sure EM cannot sneak up on me again. Manager apologizes and offers to move us inside while she checks on the rest of our order, but we decline moving. I notice that all of the waitstaff is staying off the deck, only the manager is coming out now to help with other customers, avoiding EM. EM obviously notices this too, and is getting more visibly unsettled, trying to bring other customers into siding with her. TD sees me watching the situation and offers a, hey F that witch. He almost never swears, so I know he might as well be saying she should see you next Tuesday. I signal the manager over and quietly request that she send someone to check on ED. I was truly concerned about her mental state. The manager informs me that she has sent someone and is currently making sure all of her needs are being taken care of. Then she smiles and says she'll be right back. As the manager returns with our plates, the bartender with 2 uniformed officers in tow walk onto the deck. The manager nods, and all 4 approach EM. From what I can hear of the conversation, the manager was the daughter of the owners, and they were going to permanently bar EM from the premises. The bartender comically takes a picture of EM. Then the police inform EM that ED will not be leaving the restaurant with EM, CD would be picking ED up. This sends M into orbit. M tosses out a few "you can't do this, it's their fault S, don't you know who I am S, she's my daughter," among other not so kind sayings, flinging her arms pointing at us and getting louder and louder. Finally, there is a brief scuffle, she ends up in cuffs and gets led out of the restaurant, complete with cheers from most everyone else on the deck. ED returns to collect what's left at the table. She approaches us apologizing for her mom's behavior, says she heard that I was concerned about her, and thanks me for my kindness, and says that CD wants to pay for our lunches. We decline, but CD did it anyway. Most of the time the people who say "do you know who I am?" aren't well known in the slightest, and if they are, it's probably only because they cause trouble everywhere they go. A little of context. My friend's family is super Catholic, dare to say even more than the Pope. So, we were at another's friend wedding, where my friend met W. They hit off immediately, had huge chemistry between them. After a couple of months my friend decides that it is time for EP to meet W. All of the dinner went smoothly. I was told this, I wasn't there until dessert came. I think they had chicken or meat because when the cheesecake come, EM made amazing cheesecakes. W refused to eat it as it had cheese and had to explain to everybody that she was kosher. In Judaism there are certain food restrictions, one of them being not mixing meat and dairy while eating, so she couldn't eat the cake. After that dinner EP constantly nagged my friend to leave her because she wasn't pure or whatever, but he didn't listen to them. A year later, he proposed. After some talks they decided they were going to have a Jewish ceremony. It was very important for W and her family. Also at that point my friend wasn't so religious. A week before the wedding, EM called my friend crying that we had to go to their house right now. EP were invited to the wedding, also I was fulfilling my best man duties with a friend at the moment. When he comes to the home he found EM crying, while EP tried to control her. As soon as he saw my friend he started yelling things like "how could you do this to your mother?" We don't quite remember what. After some confusion we found out that EM was like that because somehow she found about the Jewish wedding and that she wanted that his only son married in a church and all that kind of stuff. Some yelling happened between them and we left. The wedding happened, only ED had come, apologizing to my friend, and that he had come to check if everything was okay, as he heard EM trying to cancel everything, catering, photographer, etc. Some years later, my friend and W had 2 kids, 8 and 4, and expecting a third one. Important clarification, the kids were being raised Jewish, and at that point my friend converted. So, while having lunch with ED, he left EM a couple years before. W water broke. While my friend was with W in the hospital, ED was looking for the children, and he called EM to let her know she was a grandma again. The next afternoon ED called saying that EM left with the biggest kid in the morning, that she wasn't coming back or answering the phone. After calling almost every hospital in the county, the police were called, they launched an Amber Alert and all that kind of stuff. That same night, a police officer came into the hospital with a son. Apparently EM had taken the kid to church camp and one of the counselors saw the alert. Charges weren't made, and after an explanation EM said that she only did it because she was worried about her grandson being raised in the wrong direction. Why can't Karens accept that Christianity isn't the only religion in the world? And why can't they just back off and take a chill pill? Also, I surprised there were no charges, it was practically a kidnapping. Well guys, that's it for today. If you end up enjoying this video please consider subscribing, and if you missed the last episode on the channel I'm gonna link it right here. The story is about a woman with a man who demanded OP tear his fence out cause of their children. Check this out if you haven't, and I'll see you in my next video.